So welcome to you guys who are seeing this after the fact as a pre-recording. Welcome, glad you're here. If you can't follow me on TikTok, if you don't follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube. Okay, let's get to it. So I was talking to Andromeda Flame today, and we've decided to do a live that's going to be based on false prophets. We're not going to name names because, and trust me, when my twin passed away, I was chomping at the bit to expose every motherfucker that was fucking with people's twin flame journey and lying about it and setting up shit and saying shit that had no business saying shit about, because they were actually preventing people from understanding the process of twin flames. In 2023, I forgot exactly when, but I think it was the fall or whatever, Amazon Prime did a documentary on Twin Flame Universe. At the time, their offering was $2,000 for their bullshit course. And it wasn't so much a course as, and I'm laughing, and I have to laugh because ever since, so it was $2,000. It was about 22 something. I don't remember the sum, but it was $2,000, but less than 3,000. Okay, all right, cool. And they also had a show on Netflix. I never watched the one on Netflix because it was about the same asshole, so I wasn't going to watch it twice. There's another one. They're called Twin Rays out of Ashland, Oregon. Wearing little crystal tiaras and shit. Like, I'm not joking when I say that. I'm actually serious. Wearing all white and doing this whole cultish thing. So what is Twin Flame Universe's success? With their testimonials, I say this in quotation marks, and a smirk and a wink. Well, what they do, and this is very well illustrated, and I urge you to watch. If you never watched Twin Flame Universe, please watch it, and watch it back to back. Sit your ass down, get your popcorn, get a beer, a soda, a kombucha, a tea, whatever, or an espresso, and watch it back to back. The fact that they're still making more money now than they ever did is amazing, because they double down. So I was talking to her, I was talking to Water Bear Medicine, and I just, for the fuck of it, decided to go on their site, and I went, holy fuck, they're doubling down. I have to laugh, because anyway, so it's 3333 is they have all kinds of little doodad gizmo classes, whatever, but then it gets serious, and they're up to 8888. Isn't that cute? 8888. So it's $8,000. It's up damn near 9,000 for whatever course. But what are they really doing with all these marriages and these stories? And they're putting your ass together with a person. They're saying, that's your twin flame, fucking marry them. If you watch the show, they actually had a guy. I think it was a woman, and they actually had her do a sex change. They took a girl that was heterosexual and made her a lesbian. Shit like that, and said, that's your twin flame. Go ahead and do it. I'm not joking at all. I'm dead serious. And so you would have thought, after such bad press, right? Not to mention what launched this show was an article in Vanity Fair, and the reporter is featured in the Amazon version, by the way. And they're definitely laughing at Twin Flame, Twin Rays, and so forth. And they've never done another documentary to show people like Remy and Twin Flame Healers, people like Mel Brand who's gone, but his wife, his widow's still alive, in Gold Ray and so on. People like that, right? They've never come to people like that. I'm not even mentioning forget Andromeda Flame, forget us. I'm talking about people that have been walking the walk and coaching people for over 10 fucking years in union, okay? I've been in union for a total of 10 years, and off and on with a couple breaks. And those of you who follow me know exactly what the fuck happened for the most part. But in the end, we walked the finish line hand in hand. Let's put it that way. Okay. So, but I'm not talking about us, the little, and I'm going to call us that, the little ones, the ones in the shadows, the ones that really don't want recognition. We actually, trust me, we don't want it. What we want is to pay our bills while we help people come out of the dark night of the soul alive and in one piece. That's really our goal. So Twin Flame Universe, what they do, it's like a dating app. I swear to God, you're going to think, oh, Tony, you're full of shit. No, I swear to God. So it's almost like you're desperate. You want love. You're looking for your twin flame. Now, anyone who's been on a twin flame journey knows, why the fuck would you want to look for your twin flame? Like, why? What in the hell is wrong with you? Seriously. Most of us that have been on this journey wish we had never, at some point in this journey, we wish we had never met him. Now, I'm no longer in that realm of consciousness because thank God we made it. And frankly, swear to God, if you look at my video lives on YouTube back in 2022, 2023, you can hear me saying, yeah, we might not make it. I'll see him on the other side of the, veils. Okay. So like I wasn't there. Okay. So the pain is unbearable, and it is so unbearable. There are no words to describe pain like that. So none of us wanted this. Just trust me when I say that. But anyway, so there are people who think this is like a Gucci bag accessory to have a twin flame. And that kind of consciousness goes to Twin Flame Universe and says, help me find my twin. Very similarly, and there are a lot of people doing this, by the way, to say plunking. And by the way, there are people doing this for real, and it's viable. And I'm not going to put it down because people are busy, they're successful, and they don't want to do one night stands anymore. They want to get married. So anyway, they'll go to a what is it called? How do you put it? It's almost like a person who, it's a company that introduces you to people who are from a questionnaire, set of psychological tests. They set you up with a person, right? And so you pay them. I kid you not. Usually it starts at $45,000. I kid you not. And so you pay them $45,000 and they match you with people. And it's on a high level of dating, right? So I'm looking at Twin Flame Universe going, wait, hang on. Hang on. It hit me like a ton of bricks. They're like a dating system, but the cultish energy of these two malcontents that run it, who claim that they're twin flames in union, whatever, basically tell you, Joe's your twin, make it happen. And then if you don't make it happen, if you don't believe that that's true, they will shame the fuck out of you. I swear to God, watch the Amazon Twin Flame Universe documentary. They will bully you to the point where one of the people they had on their cult campground, whatever you want to call it, had a nervous breakdown. Okay? So what's interesting about these twin flame coaches, and Andromeda and I are going to be talking about it. It could be Monday, Tuesday, I don't know. I'll put an ad out, whatever. You'll see when it is. We're going to talk about it because it's actually, I'm laughing in a way because there's a part of me that is looking at it going, holy God, they doubled down. And like, I guess no PR, even bad PR is good PR. But there's a mentality to people who are more likely to fall into the grasp of the cult mindset. I kid you not. And they want to be told. And they want to be directed. And they want to be controlled. I can't even wrap my head around this kind of mindset. I don't understand it. You have to understand that I was a kid. I was a little kid when Jim Jones did his little, the term "don't drink the Kool-Aid" comes from what happened with Jim Jones and his little, sadly, people who were trapped, many of them trapped. Reverend Mooney was big, and Osho was big. Just so I forgot, I think he was called Maharaj something. And he had like 36 Rolls Royces, and you weren't allowed to own anything. And a lot of young kids that had money handed all of their property to him. Osho, everyone's happy to quote that piece of shit. Yeah, Osho was getting people to literally hand over fucking everything: property, cars, cash, gold, whatever. Okay, and so the cult mindset is something that I never thought I'd see again, but here it is in front and center, and the twin flame, twin ray journey is being used. Then I thought back, wait, hang on. I thought to myself, we've always had cults in the New Age community. It's always been kind of weird, like people, like, Houdini was kind of like part of it, like the great Houdini coming out of the escape. Then you had Blavatsky, and you had Aleister Crowley, the pedo. And you had other people playing with, seances that was really big in England, for example, where, you know, somebody was moving the table and switching off the lights and shit like that to make people think, you know, Joe Blow is now in the room, and he's talking to, you know, the people in the room. So unfortunately, that spirituality is goes back to our very essence of when we were made. Okay, the true spirituality is that, and people found a way to control people. It's no really different than Orthodox religions. You know, you have like pastors, you know, like asking for money and jet sets, and before you know, they're driving Rolls Royces, and they're crying poor mouth, asking you on the couch at 3 a.m. to send them money so they can do a prayer chain for you. You know, shit like that's been going on for a long time. And it's no different. I'm realizing it. It slammed me in the gut when I was talking to Andromeda Flame that it's happening. And for whatever reason, the twin flame journey is being used to harness people's energies. Now, are there twin flames on the planet? Fuck yeah. In fact, there were twin flames, twin rays. Well, not twin flames. I'm going to be honest. In higher dimensions, there were twin rays that go back to the very beginnings of our making. And the irony of ironies is Plato talks about it. Why in the hell was he talking about that? Well, like, why would he talk about it? Why was that worth mentioning? This concept of one soul split in half and searching for its other half. Why? Okay, Plato seems to be a very logical philosopher. Okay, I don't think he was that much of a romantic, to be honest. But the point is that when I do Akashic readings, or when I do hypnotherapy sessions with clients, and they come out with stuff that's like, you can't make this shit up. Like, think about it. Just think for a minute. If you've ever sat down to write a paper or a short story, you know what it takes to sit down and come up with shit. You know how long it takes. And when suddenly in a half hour, you're just all this energy of memories are literally like rushing through you, and your throat chakra is exploding these words out into the ethers, and you're recording it, and you're like, holy fuck, how could I come up with all of that? What do I mean by all of that? Past lives on other planets. The very memory of remembering how you were made as a soul. I'm kidding you not, I had a client who actually went through that in a hypnotherapy. I didn't do it, she did it. And it was a 2-hour hypnotherapy session. 2 hours, what does that mean? It means 10 minutes induction on one end, 10 minutes of bringing her back on the other end. And it also means recalibrating this information. So another half-hour talk. So total, really, what she was under for 70 minutes. And suddenly she's getting all this information out of nowhere. No one's that creative that fast. No one. And to that complexity of information. So why am I saying all that? Because when I look at the level of guile and naivete that people have in their loneliness, and I see it repeated, because, you know, I've actually had clients, unfortunately, who were taken for a lot of money. Swear to God, a lot of money. And what I mean by I mean like $250,000 being sent to someone who they thought was the love of their life, and they only heard their voice, or they did Zoom calls and whatever. That's how lonely people are. And they never physically met the person. And they would just send them fucking money, refinance their house. It's insane how lonely people can get, and what they're willing to do not to feel that anymore. So what me and Andromeda are looking to do is, and she'll say it very beautifully and diplomatically, is that you really need to ask yourself, and I'm going to say it myself, why are you so lonely, that you're so desperate that your twin completes you and nothing else with you, to the point where some people are allowing Twin Flame Universe. Go look at the fucking website, look it up, and you'll see all these success stories, and it looks really cool, and this and that. And let me put it this way, if you're on a real Twin Flame journey, and what does it mean real? It means that there's a lot of moving parts, and it's difficult for many people, okay? When you're not ready to be in union with your twin is ready and wants it, and then finally you kind of tell them to F off or whatever, you separate, and then 3 or 4 years later, now you're ready because you crash, you're like, oh my God, what have I done? This is the love of my life, I can't replace this person. And then you try to reach him and they fucking blocked you on everything. They've either moved on or they don't want to be hurt like you hurt him ever again. They went through the dark night of the soul when you pulled the rug under their feet, and they don't want to fucking give you a chance to hurt them like that ever again. I mean, that's understandable, right? So we know that twin flames in union is absolutely possible. In fact, it happens. They have children and so on, or not, right? And we know that that's the goal. But we also know that there aren't that many twin flames. And we also know that twin flames have certain markers. Okay? And I think we're going to talk about that too. I'm going to try to remember to ask Andromeda about those markers, because I'll give you a hint. There's a certain power and also spiritual self-awareness that twins have, flames and rays, that other people don't have. There's a particular couple right now, I'm just going to say it, I'm not going to tell you their name, that suddenly are together, and they're calling themselves meta flames. And meta flames are like Yeshua and Mary Magdalena. If Yeshua came back, he'd come back as a walk-in, number one. He'd come back as a walk-in, it would be temporary, it'd be on a mission, and then he'd be out. Meta flames' vibrational frequency is so high. Think of holding your breath underwater for 2 minutes. Have you ever done it? When was the last time you did it? 2 minutes, you're holding your breath. That's what it feels like to be a meta flame. It's to come in and you're holding your breath because the frequency is so fucking intense. It's like somebody's burying you alive with fucking boulders of rocks and cement. And then you can't wait to get the fuck out, but you're focused on what you're here to do, okay? And so when people are claiming that shit and you're not seeing what we call, me and Andromeda call it, the twin flame glow, twin flame, twin ray glow, and it's a glow. It's not about perfect features. It's not about your eyes and your nose are this size to your mouth. It's none of that weird theory. It's an inner shine. It's what my twin would call the warrior shine in the eyes. And very few people have it, to be honest with you. People don't have it because they're depressed, because they're exhausted, because they're not getting laid. Okay, I'm just going to say it like that. They're not getting well laid by their twin. They're fucking celibate, and they're hurting. They're hurting, and they're howling for their mate. And the shine might disappear. But the way to get the shine back as a celibate, I'm going to answer that one, is to really go into your spiritual practice. But anyway, I digress on so many levels. I got a lot of Gemini in my planets. But anyway, so moving into back to the cult aspect. We right now have cultish systems in place that are luring unsuspected lonely people, that's the point to this, into believing that somehow, like if you came to me and said, can you find me my twin? It's gonna, okay, it'll cost you $9,000. I take all credit cards. And suddenly I find you someone and I claim to you that's your twin and you're to marry. And if you don't feel any sexual attraction, it's on you. You're fucking up. That's essentially what's happening here. It's essentially what's happening. And twins would be advanced enough to know that they're being played. So what's probably happening in this case is soulmates are meeting, high-level soulmates are meeting, or just your run-of-the-mill, person is you're meeting with them and they're tagging everyone as a twin. Twins are rare. Twins are rare, and twins are it's like, how do I describe it? It's like fool's gold right now. That's what it looks like. It's like real gold, which is twin flames, twin rays, who are trying to find each other or trying to figure out what's going on with why they can't put aside their ego and their fears of being harmed and hurt, fears of being surrendering to love, fears of inadequacy. You know, I'm not good enough. You're eventually going to find someone better than me. I know I suck, and sometimes I feel like I'm safe with you, but the minute you find out that I'm full of shit and I'm not good for you, you're going to leave me, and I love you so much, it's going to hurt me. So guess what? I'm going to hurt myself first by breaking off this relationship with you. I'm gonna have an amazing fucking 2 weeks with you in Bali. We're gonna make love in the moon and the ocean. We're gonna fucking kumbaya. We're gonna telepathically teleport and have transcendental sex. We're gonna talk about things that are so exoteric and we're blowing each other's minds. We're gonna finish each other's sentences. I'm gonna get off that plane and I will fucking block you on all social medias because it was too fucking perfect. That's twin flame. That's what happens. We honestly, if you're really honest about the human mind and the human psyche and how it is more likely to self-sabotage than to win, you can see why we have only 1% of people who have harnessed the wealth. And that's just one aspect of it. And some people are in the shadows who have harnessed the ability to have enough abundance and to be with their beloved quietly in the shadows, keeping it really on the down low because they don't want to be fucked with. And they don't want to crow about it. They don't want to brag about it because they know that what they have is so precious, so fragile, that to expose it to the planet is going to be, it's iffy, it's sketchy. And so my point to you is there are twins that do go public, obviously, and to do the good work. But they pay the price. I'm not kidding. They pay the price. Okay? They pay the price of psychic attacks. They pay the price of the pressures. They pay the price of fucking trolls and groupies. I kid you not. And a lot, usually in these twin flame dynamics, typically, not always, okay, don't get me wrong, like Mel Brand was never an addict, she was never an addict, so then, well, I mean, they were raised, of course they weren't addicts, but in the twin flame concept that I've seen with people who are, in the public eye, they will talk about their addiction. So right there, that's their Achilles heel. And addiction is always replaced by another addiction. So if you stop drinking, you might go into pot. If you don't want to do pot, you might go into shopping or sex or attention or just seeking attention or validation or what have you. There's all kinds of ways, right? And so when you're looking for coaches, and I'm certainly not trying to promote me at all, because I'm definitely not for everyone. Trust me, I'm not, okay? But there are coaches right now that now are saying stuff like, and I'm just going to say it out. I'll repeat myself. We'll do it again with Andromeda. And we'll go deeper because she's seeing things that she wants to share with you. But one of them, and I'm not going to mention her name, is basically saying she's got 2 twin flames and 1 twin ray. She was a client of mine, just so you know. And she told me that she had just woken up in 2020. And everything she was posting was about things that she had regurgitated, meaning it wasn't things she was sharing and saying, I learned this from this person, or giving credit, right? She was basically saying, I have, here's my, as if this was her own downloads, which it wasn't. And what was difficult to watch was that then suddenly she was telling people she had 2 twin flames and a twin ray. It doesn't work that way. I hope you guys know that. It doesn't fucking work that way. And why doesn't it work that way? It doesn't work that way because there's a symptom of a twin flame that is a mirror to your own things that you, like, for example, if your mom was a narcissist or your dad, or fucking God bless you both, then you're going to have a twin flame that comes in reflecting either your mommy issues, your daddy issues, or both fucking issues. If you feel like you've been okay with your jealousy because you've had relationships with boyfriends, I'm going to just stay there, or girlfriends or whatever, and everything's been cool and you've never been triggered, it's because you never fucking really were afraid to being left by, you didn't give a fuck. The sex was good, they were cool, it was almost like making love to your friend. And it wasn't going to destroy you if they left. It would hurt, Your ego would be hurt more than anything, but it would not destroy you to the very core of your soul, unlike a twin. A twin is a whole different thing. So now suddenly, what you thought, well, I'm not jealous. Suddenly you're like rabid. You're jealous. Okay? And you're like, what the fuck's wrong with me, right? And it's because of the fear. And it's a deep core abandonment that goes millions of years back, unlike some of the people you've dated or even lived with or whatever. And that is also being used against people, unbeknownst to them, in coaching people, right? So going back to why you can't get a twin right, because if you have flames and the business is not handled, and I don't want to go too dark here because it gets really dark and sad, is if you have two twin flames, and I think I should just go for it. I'm just going to say it. You have what I call a shadow twin, a dark twin, addiction, self-sabotaging, just all you're like, what the fuck? Do you want to win in life, dude? I mean, what's going on here? You know, that kind of twin. They're out there. And you do have another twin, a light twin, a twin that's more in your league of energy and curiosity and joy and wanting to, what does that mean, winning in life? It means being at peace. Being at peace with your own body, your own life, your own incarnation, and being at peace with what your soul's evolution, right? And typically the shadow twin will die. I'm just going to say straight out. Once you meet your light twin, something happens. Whether it's an overdose or self-inflicted or whatever, self-inflicted harm, okay? And why do I know that? Because I've had fucking hundreds of people fucking come back to me, at least 200 people who basically said, my twin did this, passed away, usually under 40, kid you not, and something had happened. Mistake, an error, whatever, but gone. And suddenly, years later, and that I've only seen 2 or 3 people tell me that one, just so you're clear. So it's not like a scientific stats game here. It's just, learning as you go. And they met what you would call a light twin, damn near on the edge of twin right, because they've learned so much. And both of them are together, and now they're on the path of moving and burning the last of the karma flame, burning, into the threshold of preschool level twin ray. And so no one is going to be able to have, and sure, we're multidimensional beings, we have concurrent incarnations and all of that, but the universe is not going to send you two twins, flames, and 1 twin ray. You graduate into that. Does that make sense? I hope it kind of does. And it's not easy to figure out what is what until it's like anything. It's like what you knew at 4 years old. You can't believe how you've changed at 24, 44, 64, 74, whatever, 84. It's like you think you know it all and you fucking don't. That's why the old saying, the more you know, the less you know, is the truest, the best statement ever invented by anyone. Because ultimately, as you walk on this path of evolution, ascension, self-realization, things of that nature, right? And you are activated by different people. You're not just activated by your twin. Other people activate you for good reasons, for what you might think are bad reasons, for the good reasons. In other words, sometimes you do the wrong things to create the right things, right? And so there's a lot going on. And there are people that are putting up their sign open for business who have absolutely no business. There's no integrity there. There's none. And when a person who coaches takes on a client, right, they have to know that once they are, it means that sometimes you do a session at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's right, because now that client is your responsibility. For real. Okay? And so when you're taking courses, I'm going to take a twin flame course. Why? When there's all kinds of people talking about it all over the world, and you would use your discernment. Water Bear Medicine and I were talking about the concept of this new word discernment, which means judgment. You're judging. So you're judging what resonates for you. and what doesn't. You're judging who's full of shit and who isn't. And that's good. I'm glad for you. You should. It doesn't matter who and how many people follow them. The cult mentality is still apparently thriving. And people quite often go with what is the shiniest, the most, they always go with who looks like they have more followers. And it doesn't mean that that's the answer. I mean, in that case, you'd all be, Catholics. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because technically, just so you know, as a quote unquote religion, which I'm going to put New Age, aka ancient wisdom, is at the bottom rung. The bottom. There are very few people that actually walk the talk and believe in it. And there are a lot of charlatans in that one too, just like there's a lot of charlatans in Catholicism, Muslim, all the isms. Okay? In witchcraft, there's a lot of charlatans too. People will look at something and go, I could fucking be rich doing that. There are people who have actually become preachers to make money, not to fucking save people, not to show them God and Jesus and Christianity to them, but to make money, to buy a new car. And some of these people are fucking evil. And I'm just going to say, Trump's little religious guru, that crazy bitch, she looks like she's possessed by a demon. Let's be honest, okay? So I'm not impressed, but she's got lots of people following her. Millions of people think she's incredible. And there's another guy, I forgot his name, but he's also a crack job. And he'll start speaking in tongues. And he looks like he's growing horns from his head. Millions of people follow these two crackpots. It doesn't mean that it's the right place. Our discernment, my son's Andromeda Flames, Water Bear Medicine, we'd be like, holy fuck, how in the hell do they have these people harnessed and sending these people money? Part of their social security check. What's wrong with them? So I'm excited to say we're going to have a real wonderful conversation. It might be an ongoing conversation. I'll tell you why. Because it's fucking important, because people are being harmed. Massively harmed. Hang on, let me look at this. Phoenix says, good afternoon. Why do they die young? Because they can't do it here anymore. It's kind of like, I'm thinking of James Dean, some souls have such a fire in them, and then it's beaten out of them by sometimes quite literally beating out of them by very toxic parents, caregivers. They're just fucking exhausted. And they feel like they're crazy. Why do you think? I mean, if you're a starseed, I'll give you an example. My husband was born in 1962. The father of my son, he passed away. And so he's born in 1962, and 1972, he's telling, now I hope you know, you better know. Oh, that's before my time. Don't use that as an excuse. I know history in 2,000 years ago, right? I know shit happening 3,000 years ago, so that's not the excuse. So my point is, but 1972, he's a little 10-year-old boy telling people he came from the Pleiades. Did you hear me? The Pleiades. And how many people do you think in San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury, dropping acid, believed him? I mean, really, really believed him. The way I believe him. The way you probably believed him. Not a lot. Probably no one. They thought he was a funny, kooky kid. Oh, really? From the stars, So you ask a question, why do they die young? Because they're fucking surrounded by assholes. And they don't have any fucking support system whatsoever. That's why we as starseeds, twin flames, whatever you want to call us, need to start really getting serious about communities and helping these people, men and women, young men and women, because they can't do it anymore. It's exhausting. And there's a mercy to that when the light being team realizes it's too much, they take you home. They're like, fuck this, let's take him home. By accident, car, bicycle, at the big F, laced in just what should be fine cannabis, right? And so on and so forth. They take him home. It's too fucking much. I'm done. I'm out of here. Okay? And that's why. You know, because the kid needs a break. The kid can't do it, and they can see it from above. The kids, yeah, it's almost like you're looking from above, going, "Oh my God, he's going fucking left. He's supposed to. We talked about this. He's supposed to go left, not right. Go back." And they're looking, and then the kid gets involved with the wrong people. The frequency now is a match to shitheads. I'm being blunt. I'm sorry. I don't have time for fucking elegant language for very serious, toxic loops that we've been suffering for centuries. So that's one of the reasons. And not to mention, and people don't talk about it, we have multiple portals where we can drop our bodies at 58, or drop our bodies at 34, or drop our bodies at 21. And my son had that happen. He was 17. He overdosed. And he could have dropped his body, and he thought to himself, he was actually telepathically communicating with his, he's talked about it before. And he was telepathically communicating with his guide, who said, you can leave, you can come, because it was too much for him. And he thought of, and he said telepathically to his guide, yeah, but my father will find me like that, and it's going to destroy him. So he came back. There's more to that story, clearly, but the essence. So he was 17, and he could have left. Does that kind of answer your question? And his loyalty to his father, he thought of me as well, obviously, but I'm going to concentrate on who was going to find him first. Would have been his father. And he knew that his father, being a warrior that he was, the heart of a lion, it would have been lights out for him too. He would say, "Oh fuck this! I'm not surviving my kid." You get it? So, but we have portals where we can just click out, game over, and they'll allow us. And so when it's almost like re-signing your contract, opting up for another 20 years. I'm actually not kidding when I'm saying that, but it's a real thing. I hope that answers that question. I hope. I was thinking it's contractual to die young. Not always. I think sometimes it is, but not always. James Dean is a perfect example. I'm glad I'm not the only one that sees this. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, when truth is truth. We both agree that the sun is the sun, so that's a truth. It's not it's not a subjective situation. The sun is the sun. It pretty much looks like this, and we all agree, right? So the concept of death and the concept of when and the concept but the problem is, but that's when, and then suddenly we fucking go right off the rails, where suddenly we're fucking looking at people that we know, like me, Andromeda, and Mark are going, what the and my son, the feeling tarot, and we're going, how can these people believe these people? How can people actually believe that these people are real? I mean, just look at the body language. Look at how they're not leaning towards each other. Look at how clinical they look. It almost looks like a business bonding relationship. Like, I'm thinking of this particular new one that's come out. It's a new one that's come out hustling and calling themselves Meta Flames. And it's actually quite alarming, because the people are like bowing. They're giving their obeisances to someone who the energy isn't right, and why do I, well, and on a side note, let me just say, that's definitely my opinion, but it's also my head. And just on the side note, I get people, basically work with me because they know, like, they'll send me pictures and they'll say, what do you think? And I'll go, oh yeah, no, did you notice that? Did you notice that? On the body language, right? In fact, we did a live a week ago with Andromeda, as a matter of fact. She was on the last live that we had, all four of us. And we talked about, like, I had a client calling me about a picture and said she's claiming that's her brother who died last year. And I'm like, no, hell no. And so it's weird to me, because I take it for granted, that people don't look at people's body language, auric field. And I don't mean, can you see the auric field? Can you see their auras? No, I don't mean that. Though a lot of people can do it, but that's not what I mean. I mean, there's an emanation of energies, even in a photo, and you're like, oh yeah, no. And it's all body language. One of the shows you may want to look at, I'm going to give you an incredible show that you'll probably love, at least season 1. It's called Lie to Me. It's about micro expression. And in 2011 or 2012, I think, when at some point, I was voraciously watching these shows because of what, because I was lucky to be raised by my dad, who would have me sit in restaurants, in in casinos in the Bahamas in particular. I don't like gambling at all, trust me. But what I'm saying is, in those days, in the Bahamas in the 80s, there's the casino in Paradise Island. So we would sit, and we would talk, and he would ask me questions about how, and he told me how to read people. Let me just put it that way. And then we'd be in the restaurant in the Bahamas in Nassau, and he asked me, "What do you think of that person or this person?" That, I mean, I was being trained to read people, and by a psychic. My father was a very incredible psychic, and to pick up on things that most people wouldn't even pick up on for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Maybe they're enamored by someone's eye color, and oh my God, you have such beautiful eyes, instead of looking at the energy of the eyes. Fuck how beautiful the eyes are. What is in the soul? What's emanating from those eyes? What do you see emanating from those eyes? And so I was telling Mark that I started, water bear medicine. I was saying to him that I started teaching my kid that shit when he was 5, because it's very important. And we were talking about, and I might as well share this with you. We were talking about judging without knowing. So he started saying, well, you before you judge, you have to know. And I go, no. Sometimes you have to judge and not know, because it could save your fucking life. And we went right into, and I think I mentioned in one of my lives before about women. I didn't know women did that, by the way. I saw a post. Please tell me women don't do that. And where the elevator door opens and there's a man and you're creeped out by it, but you still go in the elevator because you don't want to be impolite, right? You go in the elevator and the doors close. So now you're in a soundproof fucking box. And because you didn't want to be rude. And I saw this post and I go, please tell me that's not for real. And then the post continued with, there's not a wild animal that would walk right into danger. And I remember, and then I suddenly remembered like being in situations where, the elevator door opened. There was a man, and you're like, are you coming in? No, thanks. I'll wait for the next one. And this back and forth of this man insisting I get on the elevator and me insisting back, have a good day, bye, close the fucking door. That kind of thing at the age of 20. And the instinctive ferocity of self-preservation and not giving a fuck if I was impolite. So I was telling Mark, sometimes it's judging without knowing. It's not getting in the elevator and go, well, let me find out if I'm wrong. Why? And so it's about sometimes the first hit. It doesn't even matter if you're wrong. It doesn't even matter. It's the habit of saying, I don't know the whole story, but it doesn't feel good to me. And so I'll skip this date. I will walk into the restaurant and see my date, and I see the back of their the back of their head, and something says no, and I'm not going to even say shit. I'm going to turn around and leave and text him, hey, I'm sorry, something came up. We're good. But this thing that in particular women are taught since little girls to be polite in spite of themselves. Like be polite even if it puts you in a wrong situation. And I was telling him that my father taught me not to do that. Not to be polite. And I've been raised to be very polite. I know you don't believe me at this point, but trust me, very polite. I don't swear at all in certain situations because I know that certain situations and people, that's not appropriate at all. I'm not coming off like, but when I'm in my own, meditation room or whatever, I do whatever the hell I want. But my point to you is this lack of autonomy that we teach people to just judge before they know. And quite often, and I said to him, and quite often, that will save your life. You might be paranoid. It could be completely wrong. It's a fabulous person. But if you're getting the creeps, that you don't need to explain it to yourself, to the person who's a stranger, or you just fucking leave. You literally move away from that situation. And so with that, with what I've just said, you can kind of understand how the cultist mindset develops. because you lay down your autonomy, you lay down your judgment, even the little light bulb going, SOS, this is the wrong, twin flame coach, he's making me or she's making me believe in shit that doesn't feel comfortable in my heart. And they're not making sure that I'm comfortable in what they're sharing. They're pushing their agenda and it doesn't feel right, but I'm going to go with it because they've had so many successes. And who the fuck am I? I don't know shit. And animal instinct is animal instinct. And what it does is it says no. And then our monkey mind, our human situation, because we're so wrapped in we actually don't respect our own judgment, that we actually put ourselves in harm's way. So sometimes harm's way is physical, for real, and sometimes it's psychological. Going back to Twin Flame Universe, you can look it up. I mean, I highly recommend you watch the show. The girl, one of the beautiful brown-haired, I think brown-eyed girl, her mother had to do the interview in her stead as her proxy because she was that emotionally fucked up. Twin Flame Universe. And people are still going. I was sure they were going out of business, but no, apparently they're still in business and thriving. So there you go. Hopefully that explains on that level. Let me see, anything else interesting? Yeah, I know. Well, you wouldn't have heard about it because Meta and the Meta flame is a misnomer, by the way. It would be Meta rays anyway, just on the side note. But you'll find that people will make themselves self-important, right? They'll aggrandize themselves. And this is from a couple that you will see. I know you guys will see them. And it's not our job. It's not, Andromeda Flame or my job, though, I'll be honest. Back a week after my twin died, I was rabid with some of these motherfuckers doing what they were doing. Okay, I'm being straight up. And I was going to give you guys a list of, the assholes and the good ones. And finally, after meditations, I decided that part of people's journeys is to, they got to learn fucking how to feel their way through this situation. I'm not going to give them a list. This isn't Yelp. What's the best twin flame coach? Clearly, that's not Yelp. And, when people love you, when you have a groupie situation, a cult situation, you might even be forced to write, reviews or what have you, or you'll be asked, which is fine. We're supposed to ask, hey, did you like me? Will you review me? There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that you have to look at something and not care about what other people's experiences were. The most important experiences isn't anyone else's, but yours. Okay? I'll give you an example. I was in a Hindustani restaurant in Los Angeles. A girlfriend told me, I was in my 30s. My girlfriend told me, let's go to I never forgot this. You'll see why in a minute, okay? So we go to I love Indian food, and I'm a vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we go there, and it's really cool. Very low lighting, like low, like you can't see really anything, which should have been a red flag, but of course not. I didn't think so. All I could smell was the curries and the coconuts, milks, and the mango lassi, and I was in fucking hog heaven. And suddenly, and I am smelling a whiff of Raid, but you know, I mean, you're 32, 33, you don't really, question. And suddenly, I see a cockroach the size of your pinky crawling up the wall, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, done with the meal, as you can imagine, done with the meal. But when I walked in, low lights, my friend, we drove an hour for this restaurant. I smelled the whiff of Raid. There were a couple red flags. I mean, obviously, right? And I it was like, we drove an hour, let's just do it. And wrong answer. So recently I went to a Chinese restaurant and I walked in, smelled Raid, and I walked right the fuck out. That was it. I was like, that was it. So my point is, even if you're in a situation with a friend, and I could tell you stories of friends like, I have a particular friend who actually lost her life because a friend took her and was driving and was handling, she was at the wheel of the car, and killed my friend. And so you will have you'll have moments where you have wonderful relationships with people and everything's but one day it's like you're feeling a knot in your chest. You're feeling your body's just alarmed, but then you shy it away. You kind of slap it away like, shut up, you're being paranoid, you're ridiculous. And you go through with it. And, you don't know what could happen. It could be something as small as a cockroach going up a wall, or it could be something more serious. And the thing about it is to be comfortable and at the last minute saying, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not feeling it. Well, why? I don't know. I don't know why but I'm not feeling right about it. And I think I'm just going to stay home. Sorry about that. And that's it. So anyway, the cultish mindset allows, the mind allows itself to be led, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it subtly questions a situation, right? The cultish mindset follows. Well, all these people, there's so many testimonials and I want to find my twin and I want my twin and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And the cultist mindset is not comfortable with making a scene. What is making a scene? Sitting in a restaurant, getting the menu, water is served, and you're looking at the menu, you're getting a vibe of the restaurant, and you tell your friend or lover, I'm not feeling it here. Let's just leave. And you walk. Very few people do that. The cultist mindset will sit there. It will sit there. It will order. It will have a bad meal. It will find a fly in their fucking soup. Shit like that. So I'm trying to use all kinds of different examples of what happens instead of a person just great reviews. I like it. Connecting with someone and going, oh yeah, no. And not knowing fully, you're not always going to get the full answer as to why it's a no. You won't. You're not going to get the full breakdown of why is it a no, because it's a no. And the only way you can find out why it's a no, why those red flags, is to actually proceed in spite of the red flags. And at that point, you'll know why it's a no, or you will allow yourself to be brainwashed, coerced, bullied into situations that will harm you. And then you'll blame yourself. And then you'll start slapping yourself emotionally. You'll start the self-loathing loop, and never realizing that you were at a really vulnerable place in your life, and that you got yourself hustled, put in a situation, and it'll never occur to you to at least put the blame where it belonged, not fully you, but also partly in the person that took advantage of you. And most people don't do that. They will actually beat the shit out of themselves and then forget how they first ended up in a situation that harmed them. And it becomes a cycle. What was the name of the movie again? Something Lies? Oh, it's called Lie to Me. It's a show. It's a TV show called Lie to Me. It's amazing. It's an amazing show. The character is British. And it's based on a real guy who invented the concept of micro-expressions. Micro-expressions. When people remember shit, they look up to the sky. There's more details, trust me. When people look down, they're lying. When people look at you straight in the eyes without blinking, they're lying. And there's more. There's a lot more, but it's a really awesome show. Let me see what else. So look for that in live. Hi, my love. Yes, true. So be careful. I'm just going to say, be careful out there. Be careful who's influencing you. I'm being real. If you follow me, you know what I'm talking about. And thank you for following me. Thank you for trusting me. I take it very seriously. The reason why I don't have my calandria or something like that is because I talk to every single potential client before they become a client, all of them. Now, when I start offering classes on my website, I don't need to talk to you. You can take the class, take it or leave it. It's all good. But I'm not going to try to hustle you and convince you for like $20,000, which let me put it that way. I want you to kind of, I got to remember to do this with Andromeda, but pull out your calculator. Just pull out your calculator, okay, for a second. And their most expensive offering at Twin Flame Universe is $8,888, okay? Now, if they have 10 clients, no, 100 clients, 100 clients, and that's just one offering. 100 clients, I don't think it's outrageous to think they could get that many. Because the website's going to offer that all over the world. And so these people pay on their credit card. Or they save for years to do this. Because they really want a twin flame, and they know that these people find people their twin flames. That's how the thought pattern is so rudimentary. It's almost pedestrian. You're like, are you really like, is there something wrong with you that you believe that that's how it works? That, we're going to make you a twin flame. Now I could see we'll be matching you to a lover. That's easy. And I'm going to match you to a lover, and we're going to see if you get along. If you get along, you get married and you'll be happy. But now they've used the label twin flame to bottle it, to package it. And that's where I have an issue. Because they're thinking that this is the one-stop shop and I can get this done. They're going to find me a twin flame. They're going to tell me how to think, how to feel about the sexual energy. And when you go, I have to stop myself. When you go to the Twin Flame Universe on Amazon, you'll see one of the persons is talking about how, I think they're talking about how they're not sexually attracted to the person. You should listen to what they say, how they respond to this person. Now, one of the highlights of twins is the incredibly insane sexual attraction. See, that's actually one of the massive green flags. Oh, that's a twin, but it's one of them. There's many. Okay, there's many, because it could be a high-level soulmate and you just have an amazing unhinged sexual attraction and sex life. Okay, but to say that that's a twin and you don't feel sexually attracted to them, yeah, that's a 0. That's beyond red flags. That's a fucking no. It can't be a twin at that point. And yet they went with the show because, well, what do I know, right? And that is a cultish mindset. So, believe it or not, we are seeing once again the evolution of cults under the banner of twins. And that is very dangerous. Got to move that mountain. If you want their package for $20K, better pay off. Well, that was exactly it. Because they really, in fact, the show says that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this show. I'm going to tell you why I think it's a piece of shit of a show. Because they should have had, if you're going to show me as a journalist, quote unquote, I use this loosely, okay? You're going to show me about twin flames who suck and who are charlatans, right? Then I want you to show me twin flames that are amazing and awesome and cool and beautiful and loving and literally healing people all over the world. I want to see that. I want to see the contrast. You're going to show me shit? Show me gold, right? That's how I roll, okay? But that's not what they did. And this, because people are limited in the ways they think, and very few people are creative thinkers. Very people have been taught to contrast information, and they don't know how to think creatively so that they can think, wait, hang on, how am I being hustled? Or what is going on here? Or what will be the contrasting story? Or why am I only getting one reality, not other realities of what this could be? And the damage in 2023 was unfucking believable. Because I had clients going, yeah, my twin saw that and now he doesn't believe we're twins. He thinks it's just bullshit. It was very, very damaging. And so But this couple, you'll see them, who claim they're twins, right? Twin rays, or what? I don't even know. They claim they're twin flames. Show off their Gucci bags, their Chanel bags, their brand new car, their brand new house. Show off. They're showing it off. Showing it off. And why would you do that? How does material toys, how does that help people? Is that going to help anyone? I could see someone saying, without you guys, I couldn't have bought this quartz crystal skull. And it was very expensive. It was like $10,000. I never thought I'd buy anything so expensive, but it's available in our center, our meditation center, for everyone to enjoy. And and here's the story about this quartz crystal skull that I bought for 10 grand. Like, I could see that, to be honest. Okay, I could see that. I could see someone saying, "Oh my God, we got geodes that are 6 foot tall. We put in now, anyone who knows anything about crystals, you know that 6 foot tall geodes would be a massive amount of money, right? But they don't mention the money. They just say, we have it. It's in the communal meditation room. We're so excited. We're charging the room. We're using Copal. We're saging. We've saged everything. We're going to have a full moon meditation. We're so excited. You're invited." I could see that. But to say, I just bought my wife a Mercedes SUV and her Chanel bag was $1,500. No. It's a no. And people, I don't understand why people don't see it. I don't understand. And there's a part of me that doesn't really care to understand. There's levels of, why do people buy this as, truth and true spirituality and true ascension life path and true wisdom? Why do people believe it? I don't know. I don't know why people have such little self-confidence that they're so concerned with how in other words, they're like, but there are millions of people following these people and they must be good. And then you have the little person, like the person with the middle finger out going, I don't give a fuck who believes in this person. This person's full of shit. It goes back to The Emperor Has No Clothes. If you guys have never read that story, The Emperor Has No Clothes, it is probably one of the best stories about the mindset of a cult. Shall I tell you the story real quick? Would you like me to tell you the story? Because if you want me to, I'll do it. If not, we'll move on. And you can look it up yourself. Let me know. Anyway, so the mindset is the concern. And the way when people break out of being asleep, right? In other words, they've been working, they went to school, they came from maybe some certain types of Orthodox religions, and suddenly they start waking up, like literally the cracks start showing, and they start realizing that they love their parents, they love their family, but it's not making any sense anymore. Being a Mormon doesn't make sense. Being a Jewish person doesn't make sense. None of that shit makes sense anymore. It just doesn't. And so they start questioning reality, and they start reading about and listening on YouTube about, they've heard about reincarnation, so they start deep diving into that and so forth. And yet they are very uncertain. They're very vulnerable. That story is so good. Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you the story. Okay, so story time. So The Emperor Has No Clothes. Karl Lagerfeld, who was a famous designer, brilliant designer, did a book, which I wish the fuck I had it. That book is but he did an amazing book of The Emperor Has No Clothes. So there's a tailor who's decided, I think he's broke, to be honest, and he's decided that he's going to sell this incredible textile material for a very important suit for the king, and but in other words, it doesn't exist. Okay, but he has to convince people that it does, and only the most refined minds will see it. And if you can't see it, you're a loser, basically. And so somehow the tailors has an audience with the king, and he brings up reverently this bolt of cloth. And hang on for a quick second. One of these objects contains stories. Are they insane? I'm sorry, they're asking me to do something that, okay, good. For some reason it worked this time. Okay. And so he reverently, his hands are empty, clearly, but he's reverently like unraveling this incredible opulent cloth that is made of gossamer and stars and moon, and it's been weaved by fairies, and he says to the king, only the most refined minds and eyes can see this, O sire. And of course, the king, not wanting to feel like a fool, says, oh, yes. Oh, my God, I've never seen anything like it. No shit. You have never seen anything like it because there's nothing to see, but okay. And this continues, and suddenly the courtiers are like, oh, my God, sire, what cloth? Oh, the suit he will make for you. And suddenly they all go in line with the tailor. Like they all, they're all talking about how this material is the most incredible, and the texture and the feel. I mean, they go on and on and on. And finally, he measures the king and delivers the suit, and there's a parade. And the king is so excited. He's going to wear this incredible material, and the suit is so beautiful. And he's walking in his parade, and one little boy cries out, the emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. And suddenly everyone starts yelling, the emperor is naked. And it's almost like this weird cultish, enchantment. That's the word. This weird cultish enchantment collapses. And even the king realizes, oh, fuck, I'm butt naked. My balls are out in the wind. What the fuck am I doing? And the moral of the story is that people believe, and they'll want to believe what you tell them if you word it a certain way. If you word it in such a way that it feeds their ego. See, that's the key thing is, if it feeds their ego, and they feel like they're elite in that moment, and if they feel like they're special in that moment, then they will go with what you say. Hence, when spiritualists say, you're a chosen one, 5 reasons why you're a chosen one. Feeding your ego. Okay? And that is a problem, because and I've been saying this for years, is we weren't chosen, we volunteered. While they stepped back, we stepped forward. And I've talked about it again and again. And that's more badass than being chosen. Chosen for what? We chose ourselves. We went, I'll do it. Someone's got to do it. What the fuck? I need to meet with my twin, so I'll come in. You know? And that is like an amazing story, in my opinion. It's a story every child should learn, because it would elicit in you a conversation with your child. And now suddenly your child is 14, 15 years old, dealing with maybe bullying or pressures to belong, to be at the cool table. And the cool table means that you're popping pills or whatever the fuck you're doing, or showing pictures of yourself in the most weird ways. And because everyone's doing it, and suddenly you say, hey, do you remember the empress had no clothes? Do you remember that story? Yeah, don't fucking do that. Let's talk about it. Let's go on a hike. Oh, Mom. And you take your kid on a hike, and you talk to them about being the lone wolf and the beauty of that, and how eventually when your friends are no longer, you won't even remember. Like, I have people I went to high school with. I don't even remember their names. I don't even know what they look like anymore. And yet, had I gone with what they were saying, I could have put myself in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of ironic. And so, in a sense, cults are, it's funny, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing cults are high school groups. The cool table, that's a cult. Anything that does not respect differences and doesn't respect individuality, if there's more than 5 people, becomes like a cultish atmosphere. And it pressures people to do things they don't fucking want to do, if that makes sense. So it's quite interesting, the mindset. And hence, twin flame universe. It's like a domino, exactly. It's like a domino effect. Thank you so much for the badges. I appreciate it. So that was my story for that. And I'm excited with Andromeda because she has a way of seeing things that's really beautiful and so powerful. And so we'll be talking about that. We also will have a raw talk with the masculine. This time I'm going to step back. I'm not really going to be part of it because I want them to talk it out. And then Water Bear was asking if we could talk about spiritual life, just me and him. So we will do that. So we're going to have a lot of different lives. And so make sure to follow me on YouTube so you can, if you're missing it, right? Because you know how I am. I do lives on the spur of the moment. It's like whatever hits my fancy. I never do lives prepared unless I have a guest. At that point, I know what we're talking about. But typically, I wanted to announce that. But I really wanted to talk to you guys about these weird energies coming out. And it's weird because a lot of, I did a video on celibacy. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think it's less than 60 seconds. It could be like, seriously, 36 seconds. And it's going, it's getting traction. And it shocked me at how many, I knew a lot of people, in fact, most twin flames in separation are celibate. It seems to be the norm, unless they're married to someone. And I was shocked at how many people were admitting online, swear to God, that they're celibate. Shocking to me. And we're talking about beautiful people, like physically beautiful people, smart people, successful people, really good people. People you never know. They could get laid like in a couple hours, okay? At any bar, in any high, restaurant, within 2 or 3 hours, somebody would come up and ask them, a couple questions and the deal would be done. So, so to see people like that coming through and saying they're celibate is saying this is I don't want to romanticize celibacy, okay? But I also will say that when you have the masculine and the divine feminine deciding to be celibate, okay? And divine feminines are thinking all men are pigs, and I'm telling you that a lot of men are celibate. Okay, they could get laid, boom, okay? You got girls that have daddy issues, tons of girls that have daddy issues, chicks that just want to be picked. The list is long for a man to get laid, just like it is for a woman. So when somebody says, I can't touch anyone else but my twin, that's a massive glow up for the root chakra, for the collective. And what's happening is that there is a reset going on in the root chakra. There's a crystal grid work that's happening in the root chakra due to many of you choosing celibacy. It's not, okay? So there's some calcifications, some gunk that is being diluted very gently, so it's not gonna, freak you out and hurt you and get you to spiral out of a situation. And my son wants to make something to eat. So does that make sense? So what we're looking at is a situation where it's going to be temporary. And whether your twin wakes up and realizes your value and their value to themselves, or I'm going to be blunt, or a high-level soulmate, someone who is your frequency match, is brought to you. And to be honest with you, whatever happens, it's a win. And you're going to be fine if you've made that choice. Does that make sense? So those of you who are celibate, it could be a while. But I don't think it's going to be as long as many of you think it is going to be. And I feel that many of you that are doing the work are telepathically, remotely healing your twin. And then everything you consume, spiritually speaking, your twin is consuming. So whatever you're healing them. When you self-pleasure, right? When you self-pleasure, you will be imagining your twin and you in a beautiful, wonderful environment, making love in the present tense. And when the Big Bang happens, you're co-creating that into the universe. If you don't feel, and you're going to have to be radically honest with yourself, if you don't feel your twin is ever going to wake up, and you could be right, and be honest with yourself, okay? Some twins are just, they're going to do one more turn in 3D. I'm sorry, okay? They are, if not 2 or 3. And you have to be honest, okay? If I can do it, you can do it. I was very honest with myself about my twin, thinking, yeah, I'm fucking ascending. Fuck this. He can go fuck himself. This was back in 2022. And love him to, I love him. I can't imagine myself with someone else. That's going to be a problem, but I'm done. And I cut it out. In other words, I was like, no, I have shit to do. I don't have time for these games. I don't have time for petty Annie games. And I was using sex magic here and there for him, but I also was using it that or better. So and at some point, I used it with a figment of a beloved, right? Because I really was hoping, my God, just bring me a high-level soulmate, or God, please, I don't want to do this anymore. And he came back. He came back because that was apparently the contract. And I continued using sex magic to refine the relationship. I also used journaling 369. And I thought, well, we're doing this, we're in union now. Let me refine this connection. And thank God I did, because it brought us to the final, it was success. Believe it or not, I know many of you, you might feel sorry for me, which I don't know why you would, but it was a success. And though it is hard not to have the nectar, it is a success. But going back to you guys and what you need to do, so sex magic is going to be very important. But sex magic cannot be used if you're depressed. Like you're fucking crying and you're sobbing and you're missing your twin and you're pleasuring yourself. You better fucking stop, because that's not going. You're gonna actually bring in more harm than good. So you have to use sex magic with a focused intent, with a magical understanding, and with and really enjoying the experience of being with your twin in an alternative universe, if you will, or reality, but in the present tense. You see, in the present tense. And there are other things I would like. I'll share with you. I'm going to go back to my Patreon. There's certain things I'll share that are much more personal on my journey, and I'm going to put it on Patreon, because honestly, I don't want that to be just available to whoever. Okay, I'm not into trolls, and I'm not into bullshit. These things are very sacred, and you'll notice that, and I've said this before, that most of you never even knew what my twin's name was, much less what he looked like, until he was no longer on this planet. So not all twins, rays, or twin flames work together in front of the camera or do the work together. Not all. Some do, but some don't. And that does not dilute their power at all. Okay? One of the first twin coaches that I was exposed to, in fact, me and my twin would read her newsletter, energy letter, every fucking week, I think, or was it every month? I forgot. No, I think it was every week, yeah. Was Cassidy of Twin Flame 1111. And she was one of the first ones. It was her, Mel Brand, Remy at Twin Flame Healers, and I forgot his Twin Flame name, his lady. But we would watch them as well. There are others, but those were my top 3, okay? And it was really helpful. The fact that I was a spiritual worker and I'd been awakened from the time I was born. It's not to say that I'm better than anyone. It's to say that at the age of 14, I was reading a lot of books on reincarnation, esoteric truths, third eye opening, shit like that, right? At 14. So because I was awakened at that time, so I have a track record of learning from a lot of amazing people, like amazing souls that, like my fascination with Atlantis was insane. Unhinged. I mean, everything I could get my hand on, and still the book, and I've mentioned it so many times, it's insane. But the book is called Atlantis, the Antediluvian World by Ignatius Donnelly, written in the 1870s, thereabouts. And it's still fucking a top book. And the one you would want to get is the illustrated version, because that's the one you want to get. And if you can get the facsimile illustrated version, that's the one you want to get. If you want. But it's scholarly, okay? It's really fucking scholarly. And he was able, in my mind, okay, was able to prove how Atlantis fell in probably 48 hours, And he talked about Plato once again. And was it Plato? Yeah, I think it was Plato. I think it was either Plato or Homer. I'm trying to remember. But who talked about, I think it was Plato, yeah. Who talked about Atlantis falling, and supposedly the timeline was 400 years later he would write about it, or maybe 1,000 years. Folks, that's not a long time ago. They're still contemporary. I did an Akashic reading. I'm going to tell you this because I'm not going to tell you all of it because it's so fucking insane that unless you're on this, you believe in some of this stuff, it's going to be way off the tracks. But let's just say that I had an amazing session with a woman yesterday in Akashic reading. She's a very powerful soul, very incredible brilliance. And one of the things, I'm going to give you a by 9 past life that I gave her. So it was of an African hunter with a spear, just minding his own fucking business, hunting in the brush. It looks like Serengeti, Kenya, whatever, that kind of place. And some white hunter decided that it was a good idea to just shoot him in the chest and right in the heart chakra. And she paused and said, can I just say something? I go, yeah. She said, my mother-in-law did a painting of an African man getting shot in the chest by a white hunter. I went, no, you got to be kidding. She goes, no. And there's a look of surprise. I go, yeah, it was a complete surprise. And so I said, well, the reason they would have given me a very pedestrian past life, because we've had a lot of ways we died, okay, millions of ways we died, but it's to confirm the life you had as a starseed. And it was a very incredible, involved, it's almost like I got a whole fucking storyline of why, how, when, who, what. It was insane. And it was going at a pace I couldn't even keep up. I had to write as fast as I could, and yet, and still when I told her, I'm still getting downloads. But the next life, and that's the one I'm sharing, was she was an Atlantean priestess in Ireland. The Atlantis had collapsed. The ocean was still boiling, which means that there were pockets of air being released from structures still collapsing under the ocean, right? It wasn't like a boom, we're done. It was like, it probably took a week for everything to settle to the bottom of the ocean, if that makes sense. So that's what I mean by the ocean was boiling. And she's looking out, and she's wearing a red cloak, flax and wool. And I had forgotten that flax, because I have like bimbo moments, and I'd forgotten that flax is linen. Hello. But but the way it was shown to me was the word flax and wool, weaved, very fine cloth, red. Okay, well, we know that red is connected to the Isis temple. High priestess Mary Magdalene was connected to that, but this is not the part that was crazy. The part that was crazy is that there are these stones that are like, think Stonehenge, okay? But they're about her height and maybe a tad taller, like 6'5". And she's using her nail, and she's carving pictograms, aka symbols, language, into the rock with her index finger, her nail. And she turns around and she's looking at the ocean boiling. And there were more things came up in a couple other past lives that came up, but the first one was so crazy. So just suffice it to say the universe is asking me, and I've been talking about this for a year, but very soon I'll start writing the book, and at that point, what I'm going to do is we'll see if I can put it on Patreon, one chapter at a time, and people who aren't, I'm not going to make it free to the public. It's going to be like a small fee, maybe $5.99, maybe $9.99. I don't know, but we'll actually discuss it, all of us, and what's fair, what's approachable, what makes sense. Because I do not want trolls to have access to it. To be fair, I want the right people to have access. Fair, what's approachable, what makes sense. Because I do not want trolls to have access to it. To be fair, I want the right people to have access. I'm seeing a theme of naivete, and I am seeing that some of us were kind of, we were assholes. We did fucked up things, and so we fell because of that. And so there's so many ways we fell. And Atlantis wasn't the only way, and the Garden of Eden, the forbidden fruit, all that shit, that wasn't the way either. As a matter of fact, I really don't even know what they're talking about in some of these stories, but with the Egyptian pyramid, the Giza pyramids, and how we've seen the underground structures that are right beneath the pyramids, it has shook the spiritual community that knows, and the anthropological and Egyptologists must be shook, because whatever the fuck they thought was Egypt, it's now being turned on its head just by us seeing what was under these structures. So I think that we are barreling into knowledge, forgotten knowledge, as Billy Carson calls it, forbidden knowledge. I think that he went through a dark night of the soul, what would happen to him, and how this Bible thumping fuck, he was set up, right, to lose. And he doubled down. And this is one of the problems that males have to understand. If you are caught stepping in dog shit, don't act like it's gold or caviar. Like just say, oh, okay, well, I'm not here to talk about this. So did you want me as a guest? Or in other words, you can't double down if you're not sure. And to walk into what in French it's called piège, a trap. To walk into a trap, he was set up. Now, the fact is that he was wrong, okay? But he should have been able to maneuver the conversation. I'm thinking, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, and I'd love to hear it. Maneuver the conversation to Yeshua and Mary Magdalena. And this guy would have doubled down because, he's a Bible scholar. And the minute somebody tells me they're a Bible scholar, I scoff. I have to. So Billy Carson showed us how overconfidence and arrogance can put us in the wrong situation. And do you know who's never been put in those situations? It's interesting. They're telling me to talk about this. Eckhart Tolle's never been put in that situation. Why? Because he's fucking humble. Dr. Joe Dispenza has never been put in this situation. Why? Because he's humble. On the side note, France barred him from doing a retreat in France. Red flag. But anyway, moving on. So some of these teachers, masculine teachers, I'm going to really talk about masculine teachers, the ones that have never been trapped, have a very humble attitude, It's very beautiful to see. And it's something that a lot of confident masculines should aspire to be, because when you're really confident, for real, and you're not trying to, because, the swaggering energy is really about the fact that you're probably full of shit, fake it till you make it type of thing, which I'm a big advocate of that. Like, yeah, fake it till you make it, okay, whatever. But there's a point where you got to have some humility, and you got to keep slapping your ego down. And what kind of men? What are they called again? Not macho men. Alpha males. Alpha males have to realize that if they're going to keep the respect and the trust, they have to either really, when you say you're sure about something, you better be damn sure. And if you're not sure, don't say anything, right? Like, don't say you're sure. Trust your sources, and then don't trust your sources. Don't go to Wikipedia. Like I don't know what a concept. Go to the fucking library. Like, read shit. Look things up, because it took a long time for him and his wife Elizabeth to recover from that, and they lost a lot of followers, which is really sad to me, because it threw everything in the trash. That's how people think in the spiritual community. Oh, you fucked up, so now you're shit. And there's something we have to do as spiritualists, is to stop judging human beings for being human beings. And we need to improve ourselves so that we can protect the energies and the teachings that we share with people. But at the same time, we need to be allowed to be fucking human beings. I mean, sometimes you do step in dog shit because you're looking up at the stars and you're not looking down. And you might be trusting the wrong person to give you information. And then you spew it out like it's fucking knowledge, and it's not. It's not. It's tainted knowledge. In other words, it's not accurate. And I think that it's got to go both ways, where spiritual followers need to give people a break, who are teaching, mentoring, guruing, whatever. But they also, the teachers, the wayfarers, have to humble themselves. And those two things can really create a beautiful relationship between people listening to them and following them, and them sharing information. If you don't know, just say, I'm not sure. I have to check. I think I'm correct, but I'm not sure. And there's nothing wrong with not being sure about everything. Who the fuck knows everything? No one. So that was a blow to the spiritual community, believe it or not. And what else can I share with you? So yeah, that's about all I have to say. So yeah, the followers, you okay, let me look at what you guys are saying. I love it. Okay, thank you for all the like. You most hear me. That's exactly what I'm going through with my partner. I've encountered lost friends who go by positive vibes only. This seems toxic. The positive, I talked about that, Mama Yeti, where in one of my last lives, actually, I did talk about that. I said that people, the spiritual community will, in fact, okay, let me just start. Hang on, let me reset myself. Yeah, because I want to say correctly. When October 7th happened, I was sure that by October 31st, okay, some of the spiritual community members who were content creators with over 100,000 followers or more would say something. They said nothing. I know because I looked. Because at the time I had nothing. They said nothing. I know because I looked. Because at the time I had, I think 12,000 or maybe 15,000 followers. Like I'm like, I was an ant in an anthill, right? And so I went ahead and I realized, wait, hang on, this isn't going to work. And I started doing lives on it. And I every repost I had, I was reposting on what was happening. And that actually happened around the second or third week of October. If you look at my reposts, you can go all the way down to 2023, and you'll see when I started. I don't remember, but I think it's about that time. And so I was reposting a lot. I mean, everything I saw, I reposted. I swear to God, I was fucking a savage when it came to reposting. I did lives. I did not do content because I did want to keep my content based on spirituality and this, that. But all my lives were about that subject. And this is when we had to, talk about watermelon babies. Everything had to be code words at the time. Everything. Or else and of course, like many of us, I got shadow banned and so on. And this lasted for months. Like really, it hurt It hurt my page, my channel. And but you double down. And then finally, almost a year later, people started catching up. Stars started talking about it. It's like, where the fuck were you? I mean, where the fuck were you? But celebrities started talking about it. It took a year, let's be honest. And so in the spiritual community, my point to you is, in the spiritual community that keep talking about your kumbaya, positive vibes, or you're out, I want to protect my energy. I don't want to have negative. Dude, like, if I'm going to save my cancer, and I know they've just done a blood test, I need to know where the fuck the cancer is so I can actually put my hand on it with an idea and heal it. And heal myself, if that's what I choose to do. I need to know exactly where it's located and what it is and what it's called so I can heal it. So to not know what's going on the planet, to deny the injustices of the planet, to say nothing exists but rainbows and ponies, is to actually prevent the ascension. It's like saying, I'm out of butter and flour and sugar, but I'm going to make a cake. Good luck. Let's see how that. Were you going to make it with air? Because it's not about focusing on what is unjust. It's about looking at the injustice and going, right, okay, now I know what to fucking focus on. And you focus on the opposite. You don't say, I don't want wars on the planet. This is not, listen, here's how you manifest. You don't say, I don't want a war in the planet. You say, the planet is in 5D. There's unconditional love. There's peace across the world. People know how to deal with issues, and the issues are always small, and they're always handled with wisdom and generous hearts. There is abundance everywhere. The earth is breathing and relaxing and sighing because we are her gardeners and her. You don't talk about wars, famine, this, I don't want this, I don't want that. That is the trap of certain people who have taught manifestation in the wrong way. And sometimes I question, was it on purpose? Like, I don't want to be sick means I'm going to get sick. Now, you guys know this. Louise Hay talked about this back in the late 70s, early 80s. The process of manifestation is, first, you have to acknowledge there's a problem. And then you have to create the solution that is the complete opposite without acknowledging the problem. You don't have to keep acknowledging the problem again and again and again. You don't have to keep like shoving your face in shit. But you do need to acknowledge it. It's an energetic, it's almost an energetic a contract or hang on, a switch you turn on going, God, universe, whatever you want to say, I understand this is happening. And the reason why I want the new earth is I don't want this to happen anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and start manifesting it in the right ways that I know how to manifest. But I want you to know that I acknowledge it and I do not consent. And the I do not consent and knowing exactly why, what you do not want to consent to is very important in the ascension. To be a spiritual is that, runs around going, I no, just, peace and love. And that's all oh no, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news either, baby. But I know that some shit's happening. Oh no, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news either, baby. But I know that some shit's happening. And then when you feel a lull in your energy, or when you crash, you're like, what the fuck's wrong? I'm like exhausted. It's because energetically you felt something go down that was pretty bad somewhere in the world. And it literally flew around the world like a boomerang and hit you and probably 100,000 other people, for example. And so I hope that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. I did a live on the person who took their life, and I talked about that, and that was really hard and sad. I did a live about 6 months. I think it was 4 months ago, where these women in Sudan, all 143 of them committed harikari, which is a Japanese word to mean suicide, because they knew that the guerrillas from the UAE were coming, and they knew it was coming and it wasn't going to be good, and so they took their own lives into their hands because they preferred to die in honor and integrity and their root chakra clean. And believe me, when you do that kind of thing, you're not going to hell. You're not going. No one's judging you anyway when you cross over, but you're definitely not fucking earning karmas there. You're not earning negative karma on that. There's no chains and links and karmic loops when you do that. The universe knows. It's almost like the light beings go, yeah, no, we get it. It's taking your life in your hands and going, yeah, fuck off. I'm not doing that. My root chakra is mine, and I'm keeping it clean. And this is the hour we go. And so it wasn't out of fear. It was out of resoluteness. And so when you hear about stories like that, and for a spiritualist to go, oh no, I want my peace, it's like, fuck off, you're fucking toxic Bambi. It's like, no, you want to know so that you can repair the damage. Like, for example, you know why I wanted to know that story? So I could do a little ceremony for these women to go, on your way, bravo, on your way, wonderful, may your journey be swift and filled with love. When I saw that young man who had taken his life, same thing. May you find the love. It's surrounding you all over. And it was like we were driving away from the scene, and both of us internally talking this spirit home. So when spiritualists think they're spiritual and they go, oh yeah, oh no, it's just, that you just want to keep negativity away because, it will mess up your energy field. No, then you're a lazy, slovenly spiritualist, because when you're a true spiritualist and you hear about something, you do a ceremony. You sage them, or you light a white candle, whatever you're directed to do, or you internally guide them home. You're speaking telepathically, guiding them home. To coin yourself as spiritualist and not to do these things, then you're just showboating your little ankh around your neck and your little Mendi tattoos on your hands and your little bendy between your eyebrows. That's it. Oh, and by the way, I love that red lipstick. You know what I mean? It's like, it makes no sense. And so we've always, listen, when you look at religion, any Orthodox religion, there's not one that's pure, trust me. And all of them have had their shysters, their hustlers, and their malcontents. I mean, I'm sorry. And yes, they've had their poets as well. Sure. Hang on for a quick second. And if you're going through a difficult time and are dropped with no conversation, hurts the head. Everywhere for the whole. Well, let me just say this. If you're being dropped with no conversation, it's because they're cowardly. I'm sorry. I'm thankful for you being you. Your voice always draws me near. Oh, you're so sweet. I'm so honored. Thank you for your trust. Hang on for a quick second. Let me read. Okay, and then Mommy Yeti says, oh, numbers 111 and 1111 everywhere. Yeah, those are angel numbers supporting you. Java Island did that too. When the Dutch invaded, the whole village said, no way. Whoa. Go ahead and ask the question, Star. About sagging? Say it again. About about saging. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Okay, great. All right. So saging. So you always sage your bare feet, no socks. So I'm going to tell you what I do when I sage. So you have California white sage. Sometimes I have Palo Santo together in my hand with the California white sage. Sometimes I have Copal. Copal is my favorite. Like Copal is like unhinged. The scent is just earthy, gorgeous, and powerful. In fact, a couple days ago, I saged the perimeters of my property and my house, and just kept, doing the Om Namah Shivaya, and then Ahom Prema, and I was doing some other, mantras, right, to remove blocks. Okay, so when I sage, under your bare feet, beneath your bare feet, lift one foot, lift the other with your sage burning in your hand. And between your legs, I actually squat to make sure that my root chakra gets it. Underneath your armpits, around your head, and the back. You're kind of like going in the back of your shoulder blades and your buttocks and your thighs and your calves and so forth. And I say I attract only people of light. Only people of light come to me wherever I go. Abundance of love, health, and wealth follow me wherever I go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I sage the people I love in a triage system, which means whoever I feel directed to sage first is who I sage. And I say the exact same words. And that's it. And that's how I sage. When I sage to do a Akashic reading, a hypnotherapy session, I will do the four corners above and below. And I do the same saging, like I sage myself, like I just said. And then I go four corners as if I was going to take sacred medicine, but I'm not doing that. I'm closing the corners. I'm closing it so that when I sit in the meditations for the Akashic readings, or if I go and I'm getting ready for a client to do a hypnotherapy, there's no negative energies would be allowed in because I've closed the room. And it's very similar. In fact, all good shamans will do that before you take ayahuasca, bufo, any plant medicine will be done. You do it like that. If you decide to do whatever else you want to do, if you know what I mean, like psilocybin or whatever, you want to do that. You do when you start working. I don't care if it's psilocybin. I don't care if it's whatever else you're taking. I mean, be careful. Some of the shit you better have a shaman with you because you could die. I'm not being funny. And so don't do it alone. I'm not kidding. But you should be saging yourself and the room and closing the room. And I do have that guided meditation in my playlist on TikTok under guided meditation. And it says the four corners above and below. I released it. It was on Patreon. And I released it for free because I thought, let me just get that going. I've taken my Patreon link down. But once I start writing the starseeds, the chapters, I'll put it back up and I'll start letting people who want to read it as they go. And it's fucking to me, it's fascinating. It's absolutely the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. And it's so much more than I ever thought in our existence. And whenever I doubt, because who are we not to doubt? Like, am I crazy? Like, this is intense. And then I'll get a sign. I always get a sign to confirm. The client will give me a sign. The client will confirm by saying, oh my God, this, and this, or I'll get my own sign. And so it's pretty, we are, it's funny. I knew that we were going to be our own disclosure, meaning, we were all, the aliens are coming. Turns out we're the aliens. Turns out we're the aliens who've incarnated as humans. That's the irony. So, it's funny in a good way. You know what I mean? So hopefully that helps, Star. Any other questions? Mirror everywhere for me lately, the old me and higher me. But if you have physical mirrors, like make sure to cover them. Make sure you close your laptop, or if you have a desktop, make sure that you put a cloth over it. Like those are portals. For people like us, it's a portal. I'm not being funny when I say that. What I mean by for people like us who can see, we're in 4D and we toggle into 5D. You don't want to have mirrors open if you can help it. Believe it or not, like put your mirrors in your drawers, close your mirrors, cover your mirrors, and use them to check on yourself. Then cover the mirror again. When I was going into hotels, when we're traveling across country, first thing I would do when we walked into the motel, in that case because we were traveling, is put a towel over the mirror immediately. Like it was not gonna, the mirror, and I don't know why they do that, but I know why. I just realized why they do that. But the mirror overlooking the bed, it's a fucking no. My feet to the mirror, oh hell no. No. So that might be superstitious, but I don't see it as superstition. I see it as portals and And depending on where you're at in your mind and your powers, you could be tired, but your powers, your frequency is high. Yeah, that could be a very bad mix. What could happen? I don't know. I actually don't. I'm not going to lie. Oh, yeah, this could happen. I don't know. All I know is that in about 6-7 years ago, that came through, and I was like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And in retrospect, when I think about it, my twin and I always had our mirrors in another room. In a room we didn't sleep in, for example. It was never in the room we slept in. And it's almost like instinctively we knew not to have the mirror. Or if it was in a room we slept in, just so you know, it faced away from us completely, and it faced the opposite wall. But I'm much more strict about it myself personally now, more. So I know that came out of nowhere, but your mirror, term kind of triggered that. So be careful with that. Any other questions or comments? Anything you want to share with the rest? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything at all? Okay, so hopefully I'll upload this, and want to thank you all for being here. And I'll see you soon. All right. So look for these other lives. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's what is it called again? Oh yeah, Sacred Intimacy Tarot. and I'll see you there. Okay. Thank you so much, Alice. Take care. Namaste. Be well, all of you. Thank you so much. Blessings.